What if I told you that the same intelligence that makes African gray parrots so captivating is also what makes them one of the most trafficked animals on the planet? Picture a bird that can solve puzzles, recognize itself in mirrors, and learn hundreds of human words. A creature with the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old child and the problem-solving skills of a primate. The African gray parrot isn't just a pet, it's one of nature's most brilliant minds. But this extraordinary intelligence has become its greatest curse. Because right now, as we speak, these remarkable birds are being systematically stripped from their forest homes at a rate so alarming that some populations have collapsed by over 90% in just a few decades. The story of how this happened, and what it reveals about our relationship with the natural world, is both heartbreaking and urgently important to understand why African greys became such prized targets. You need to appreciate just how special they really are. In the dense rainforests of Central and West Africa, these parrots live in complex social groups, passing knowledge between generations. They don't just mimic sounds, they understand context, use tools, and form lifelong bonds. Scientists who study them describe their cognitive abilities as rivaling those of dolphins and great apes. But this very sophistication makes them incredibly vulnerable to capture. Because when you remove a bird this intelligent from its natural environment, you're not just taking an individual, you're dismantling an entire cultural lineage. The trade began quietly decades ago, fueled by growing international demand for exotic pets. At first, it was small-scale, local hunters catching a few birds for extra income. But as word spread about these feathered geniuses, the market exploded. Wealthy collectors in Europe, Asia, and North America were willing to pay thousands of dollars for a single bird. Suddenly, what was once a subsistence activity became organized crime. Here's how the system works today. Deep in the Congo Basin, hunters use traditional methods passed down through generations, but now with modern twists. They locate nesting sites during breeding season when parents are most vulnerable. Some use glue sticks on branches, others set delicate nets that don't harm the bird's valuable feathers. The most heartbreaking technique involves capturing one parrot and using its distress calls to lure in others from its flock, exploiting their strong social bonds against them. Once captured, the parrots begin a harrowing journey. They're stuffed into plastic tubes, hidden in suitcases, or packed into crates so small they can't spread their wings. Mortality rates during transport are staggering. For every parrot that reaches a foreign home, experts estimate several others die along the way from stress, injury, or starvation. The survivors that make it to market often develop psychological issues from the trauma. They pluck their own feathers, rock endlessly, or develop strange repetitive behaviors. Symptoms of captivity stress in a creature meant to fly free across vast forest canopies. What makes this situation particularly tragic is that African greys breed slowly in the wild. They typically raise only 1 or 2 chicks per year, and both parents invest enormous time and energy in teaching their young everything from foraging techniques to predator avoidance. When you remove breeding adults from a population, you're not just reducing numbers, you're destroying the knowledge transfer that sustains the species. Some forests that once echoed with their chatter have fallen silent, not because the habitat disappeared, but because the cultural memory of how to live there has been erased. But there's hope emerging from this darkness. Conservation organizations are fighting back with innovative strategies. In Cameroon and the Democratic Republic of Congo, Former parrot hunters are being trained as forest guardians, earning income through conservation tourism instead of wildlife trafficking. International treaties like CITES have placed stricter regulations on the trade, though enforcement remains challenging. Perhaps most importantly, breeding programs for captive African greys have become more successful, reducing pressure on wild populations. Though the illegal trade persists for birds caught in nature, which are often cheaper than legally bred ones. The most powerful change, however, is happening in the minds of potential owners. As people learn about the complex needs of these birds, their requirement for mental stimulation, social interaction, and flight space, many are reconsidering whether keeping such an intelligent wild creature as a pet is ethical at all. The African gray parrot isn't just another colorful bird. It's a being with deep emotional capacities, one that forms bonds not out of dependence but genuine connection. The fate of the African gray represents a larger question we all face. How do we balance our fascination with nature's wonders with our responsibility to protect them? These parrots have survived in Africa's forests for millions of years, evolving their extraordinary intelligence through countless generations. Whether they continue to thrive there may depend on our willingness to appreciate them from a distance rather than possessing them up close. What's the most surprising thing you learned about the African gray parrot trade? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to help protect intelligent species like these, subscribe to Rare Species. We're exploring a new threatened animal every week.